We begin with breaking news tonight. A horrible accident outside a Montessori school. At least one woman is dead, and at last check, 6 children have been transported. This is in the Leon Springs area, just off I-10. As a matter of fact, we are told the eastbound lanes of the access road at I-10 and Fair Oaks Ranch are closed down at this hour.
Yeah, this is located just south of Fair Oaks Parkway. Still unclear exactly how this accident happened, but we did confirm that from the Leon Springs Police Fire Chief, that one woman has died. Those 6 other patients are being taken care of right now. We want to give you some viewer photos sent to us of this accident to give you at least a glimpse of what we know about what might have happened here. You can see past that caution tape, there is a white Audi SUV. Looks like it is up at an angle, as if it's up on top of something. That's the school we're looking at there. These were sent to us just in the last 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, as we said, this is in the Leon Springs area. I believe the actual address is Bernie, but it's not actually in the city of Bernie itself. It's at a place called the Excelled Montessori Plus School. This happening just before 5 o'clock tonight. If we take a look at TransGuide, we can also give you a good idea of exactly what traffic looks like out there at this hour. As we said, the eastbound lanes of the I-10 access road are completely closed down. Hard to get a good view from this, but obviously details on this entire thing could change. We have a crew on the way, and if there are any updates, we will of course bring them to you in this edition of Know My Neighborhood.
Was the night of Know My Neighborhood, when all through the city of Windcrest, every house was shining brightly, showing off their holiday best. This town is known for Christmas spirit, but it's actually so much more. It's a tight-knit community, but it's not like it was before. Right off I-35 and Loop 410, if you wind through all that construction, you'll miss it. And what's going on with that giant old mall that once was rack space, but now what is it? Windcrest is surrounded by San Antonio and Bexar County, both different jurisdictions, but this small enclave of roughly 6,000 likes to take care of its own business. New neighbors are moving in, but one of the first ever residents is still here. And what do you know? This neighborhood even has its own Santa. No word on his own reindeer. So welcome to Windcrest, the City of Lights. Happy Know My Neighborhood to all, where it will be a good night. Ho, ho, ho!
Good evening and welcome to Know My Neighborhood. We are kicking things off here tonight in the tight-knit community of Windcrest.
Famous for its holiday lights displays, it's what draws people to the neighborhood this time of year. But for those who live here, they say it is so much more. Thank you for joining us tonight, live from Windcrest. I'm Steve Spriester.
And I'm Myra Arthur. You know, not too much time left in the month of December, and over the next several days, this city, this neighborhood will be a destination for so many families. Yes, there are so many lights and Christmas displays to come see here, but there are also some stereotypes that go along with this neighborhood.
Yeah, some of the stereotypes is that this is an older community. Neighbors say that's not necessarily true, that they have very low speed limits. Locals say that is true and they like it that way. And there are also a lot of questions about what is happening with the old rack space building. You might have seen it many times right off of I-35.
We're going to get into all of that in this edition of Know My Neighborhood, but first let's talk about the boundaries of Windcrest.
Yeah, this gives you a good idea of the outline here that we're talking about.
So it is located just east of I-35 and Loop 410. The city sits south of Randolph Boulevard and Weidner, north of Eisenhower, and a little bit west of Eagle Crest Boulevard. It covers about 2 square miles.
Now, getting to know this neighborhood and giving neighbors a voice is really what Know My Neighborhood is all about. We want to know the good, the bad, the frustrating of Windcrest. And what better way to get to know an area than to hang out with a local? And I don't know that I've ever felt as popular as when I went on a tour of the lights with the local Santa himself.
Hi, Merry Christmas.
This never gets old.
No, not at all. I spent 30 years in uniform. In June of 2004, I retired, and I retired my razor, and that was the last time I shaved. So my beard is 20 years old, going on 21. It's almost of legal age.
You know what? I'm going to call this ho 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 on the go go go.
I love it.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas, Hannah.
Merry Christmas to you!
Christmas. Merry Christmas. How long have you lived in Windcrest?
We moved in 2005, so 19 years right now.
Yeah. Would you move?
No.
Having taken this ride with you, I am realizing that for the locals, you're as much as a part of Christmas as the lights.
Yeah.
How do you take that?
I love it. I mean, it's as I tell some people, there's worse things to be known for, but it's nice to be able, I like the small town atmosphere that we have here and my ability to be able to, to help out wherever I can.
Is there anything you would change about Windcrest if you could?
Well, most of my neighbors will say it's the traffic for the month of December, okay? But it's being a small town, you've got the good and the bad. So that's I want to leave it at that.
I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you. I had a great time.
It's been great.
Yeah.
I had to get my picture with Santa in there.
We're lucky to do a lot of firsts in this job. I bet that's a first for you. Taking a neighborhood tour with a local Santa.
It doesn't get better than that.
Not at all.
And he loves this community. He actually used to serve on the city council. And I asked him about sometimes when Windcrest is in the headlines, like, when they just dismissed their police chief. And he said, that's just static. That's not what Windcrest is all about.
Yeah, that's why we have a lot more to cover here on Know My Neighborhood.
Yeah, and Windcrest was a neighborhood before it was a city. And actually, the first person to ever move in here still lives here.
She is still here, Miss Frances Peace. I was fortunate enough to get to meet her for this episode. And she remembers the very first time this Christmas light craze got its start. And turns out it was all one woman's idea to get this neighborhood some attention.
That was the first city council. I even had dark hair in those days.
Are you on that city council?
Oh, yeah.
What position did you hold?
I was one of the aldermen. I'm the only female.
Frances Peace and her husband Hugh bought the first house ever built here.
When did you move to Windcrest?
October 10th of 54. There was a little ad about this big in the newspaper. Hugh was just back from Korea and we were looking for a place to buy.
What was out here in Windcrest when you moved in?
Grass. No other houses. I liked country living. I never had gotten to do it. Oh, there's a little farmhouse.
That slice of country living sat just west of Randolph Air Force Base and northeast of Fort Sam Houston.
Most of our early residents were military.
So that's what earned Windcrest the nickname of Fort Windcrest.
Yes.
Neighbors here didn't want to be swallowed up by San Antonio. So in 1959, Windcrest became its own city, an effort led by the developers of the neighborhood, Murray and Barbie Wynn, Tom Wynn's parents.
Here's a picture of the folks. We were so far out of San Antonio that San Antonio Savings and Loan, who wrote most of the mortgages in San Antonio at the time, wouldn't loan money this far out of town.
In this neighborhood's first few years, Barbie Wynn had a plan to get more people interested in living here.
Mother came up with the idea, why don't we buy some Christmas lights and put them on, give them to each one of the homeowners, and they would light up, and then we would advertise, come see the lights of Windcrest. This was in about 1956, 57, 58.
A spark that nearly 70 years later is shining brighter than anyone back then could have dreamed. Anyone except perhaps Barbie Wynn.
It was kind of like I told you so.
She lived to be 100 years old.
Born in 17, died in 17.
She decorated her walker and herself as the Energizer Bunny on what was her final birthday celebration. But what keeps going and going now is the light up legacy she created.
It was something for her to see.
Frances remembers Barbie Wynn passing out those first strands of Christmas lights all those years ago.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
What's it like with all the visitors that come through Windcrest just to see those lights this time of year?
Well, you try to never leave home after dark.
But Frances does leave home a lot. In fact, this is her second home.
So where do you usually sit on Sunday?
The Windcrest United Methodist Church that she helped establish.
What does this church mean to you?
Everything.
Everything.
Really, I mean, just that one word just about sums it up. It's like an extension of home.
Just like the city of Windcrest has always been.
I just can't imagine living anywhere else.
And you know, Frances picked the United Methodist Church for our interview because it is such a place that she calls home. And let me tell you, everyone we ran into around there said, we don't know what we would be without Miss Frances.
And the common theme is also, I don't want to live anywhere else.
Yeah.
I would not live anywhere else than Windcrest. All right, somebody who's very familiar with Windcrest is our own Adam Caskey. He has judged the lights out here for a couple years in a row. So I'm guessing he's probably in a place that's very lit right now. Adam.
Oh, you have to come by Candle Glow when you're in Windcrest. Cruise down Candle Glow. Some vehicles may be in the way of the view, but take a look at just straight down the street. Each side, all the houses decked out. We'll get a little closer look of some of the finer elements in just a few minutes. I do want to point out, with the north wind that kicked in yesterday, mountain cedar, it's back in the pollen count, and it's actually moderate today. Now, once the wind shifts around this weekend, it's likely to blow some of that mountain cedar out of here, but the local cedar trees are likely to start pollinating soon too, so we'll get that in the air, unfortunately. But you know, we get the highest concentrations when the wind comes in from the hill country. That's why it's moderate today, and it wasn't even in the pollen count before the cold front arrived. We made it into the 60s this afternoon. We'll have a string of 60s, and then we warm up into next week. We'll talk about that warming trend, what it means for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and rain chances along a cold front Christmas Eve in just a bit.
All right, thank you, Adam. We are just getting started here on Know My Neighborhood, but this city's future plans, they've been in the works a while. We'll talk about those and the challenges of being a small city but bordered by the big guys, the city of San Antonio and Bexar County.
Plus turmoil within the Windcrest Police Department. The town's police chief now fired after a battle against members of city council and some neighbors. We explain when Know My Neighborhood continues, but first, here are some notes from the neighborhood. want to update you on the breaking news right now from the Leon Springs area. You see Sheriff Javier Salazar giving an update. It was a deadly accident outside a Montessori school just off I-10, the eastbound access road of I-10, actually near Fair Oaks Ranch Parkway exit has been closed down. Sheriff Salazar giving us an update. We took several notes. We know it happened around 4 p.m.
So this was after a holiday performance when parents were picking up their children. The sheriff tells us that one of the parents was loading their kids into a car and then accelerated into another car. Then that car was pushed into a group of children and a faculty member, pinning them underneath the car. That faculty member, a woman in her 20s, has died. At least 5 kids were taken to a hospital. After all of this, we don't have any word on their conditions right now. The sheriff did note that perhaps the driver that kicked off this accident could have some sort of medical history that could have contributed to this crash.
They don't believe alcohol or drugs were involved. We are told that the 5 kids are very young. Right now, the sheriff says he does not know if any charges will be filed. Again, we'll continue to update this as we go through Know My Neighborhood. Just this week, the Windcrest police chief was actually fired. The city council made that move after there were accusations that former chief Jimmy Cole created a toxic workplace.
It's actually an issue that our KSAT Investigates team has been looking into and reported on right as the chief was placed on leave. Some private residents weren't happy with Cole either. The chief filed formal ethics complaints against neighbors here, many of which have since been dismissed.
Yeah, the move to put Cole on leave came months after an employee engagement survey noted morale issues within the department, including officers describing a, quote, highly toxic culture, end quote.
If I could quote him, it would be, I'm the chief and they're going to do whatever the F I want. And if that doesn't say enough about his leadership style.
Please respect the process and what this ethics code is supposed to do. It's not a weapon, it's a tool, and it really should be a tool for good.
That was the chair of the Windcrest Ethics Committee addressing the complaints Cole filed against private residents. In a written statement, Cole denied making that first comment that you heard. Lieutenant David Ellis has been appointed as the interim police chief of the Windcrest Police Department.
So as Windcrest looks at the future of its police force, they're also planning for the future of this city as a whole. But how do you do that in a city that is landlocked and yet surrounded by so much growth in San Antonio? We're going to take a look at that a little bit later in this show.
But right now, let's go out to Mr. Light, Mr. Lit, Mr. Santa Floss. Let's go out right now to Adam Caskey, who is alive along one of the lighted cul-de-sacs here in Windcrest. Adam.
Yeah, I've got my thermometer Thursday duds on, completely homemade. My mother-in-law and I decked out my coat, and on the back, Thermometer Thursday. Turn the lights on a little bit. Now, according to the maker of these nutcrackers, these are the largest handmade nutcrackers in all of Texas. They stand at about 9.5 feet tall, and they took 15.5 days. Interesting fact, with the cost of supplies, it was cheaper to build 2 opposed to 1. So they came in a pair. It takes about 5 days just to put on this display alone. And all of it is homemade with the exception of those 2 white trees over there. That's it. And I want to get to some of the weather graphics here as we chat a little and you can take in more of the lights. I want to start with tomorrow. We'll be in the low 40s to start the day, about 43 around San Antonio. We'll break into the low 60s by the noon hour, and thereafter we make it into the upper 60s, about 68 for the afternoon high. 60s until we get into next week. By Monday, at that point, we're back into the 70s, and it looks like we'll have a stretch of low to mid 70s most of next week. We could creep into the upper 70s thereafter, but that's in the more extended forecast beyond the next 7 days. So some changes are on the way, and it's mostly in terms of temperatures and humidity. Humidity returns for a few days right before Christmas. Futurecast shows the next cold front that's headed our way, a weak one. Christmas Eve on Tuesday. As it does, a few showers are possible with this front. Maybe a brief thunderstorm, but don't expect much, and actually very minimal accumulations with this. So warm and humid the day before Christmas on Christmas Eve, and take a look at this gingerbread house as we talk about it. Christmas Day, the rain should be out of here, especially after sunrise, and a fairly quiet day. Latest drought monitors in, still not a good situation for our neck of the woods. Unfortunately, we just keep falling deeper in drought ever so slowly. 7-day forecast shows those morning temperatures back in the low 60s early next week, afternoons in the 70s, and just that 10% chance of a few sprinkles Sunday and Monday. Otherwise, we're still looking pretty dry. Check out the cookies down here, homemade. The gingerbread house, all homemade. This is one of my favorite streets, Candle Glow in Windcrest. We'll have more of Know My Neighborhood live from the City of Lights in just a few minutes.
Welcome back to Know My Neighborhood, and as you can tell, there was a lot of pride here in Windcrest in being a holiday destination for thousands of people. But what about the other 11 months of the year?
Yeah, our Petty Santos actually talked to the mayor, who says they're exploring ways to make Windcrest an attraction year-round.
People love living in the city of Windcrest. It's a great place to be. It's been called, like I'm sure other places, it's a sort of a diamond here.
This small city used to be a mostly retired community, but that's changing.
over the last probably 2 or 3 years, what we've seen is more younger people, and that's a great blessing for us to have more younger people come.
The majority of the businesses in Windcrest are along its southern border, Walsham Road, along I-35, and a section of Eisenhower Road. Much of that space in the most southern part is used for warehouses and businesses.
We are landlocked, and so our capabilities to build is somewhat limited.
The current annual city budget is roughly $10 million, primarily collected through sales taxes and property taxes. Before 2007, the majority of the city was residential. That year, the arrival of the cloud computing services company Rackspace changed the financial dynamic of the city with the annexation of 150 acres of commercial land.
As a mayor, your job is to not only plant for the now, but for the future.
Right.
In a place that's landlocked, how do you do that?
One of the things we're going to do next year, and we've had some smaller master plans, but next year we are going to engage a company to do a couple things for us. Master plan is one of those things that we sort of focusing on what the future looks like to make sure that we're all headed in the right direction.
That master plan will be created by a third-party company. Reese hopes part of the plan brings branding to the city. Clear, larger signs that let people know they're in Windcrest, in some cases as a warning.
We're known as a place that when you come to Windcrest, it's 20 miles an hour and you need to obey our traffic laws.
Mayor Reese says the goal is to set the stage to develop the commercial area around what used to be Windsor Park Mall and then Rackspace, but is now unused along I-35 between Walsham and Eisenhower.
I would like to see some sort of a destination where, and I say destination, a Friday night, I just want to go out and maybe have a beer or two and sit down with some friends, but that, some sort of venue where I can go on a Friday night, and we have some of those. They're just somewhat limited.
If you heard it, if people are hearing this and they have ideas, Windcrest is open to ideas.
They do, absolutely.
Patty Santos, KSAT 12 News.
Also have they're calling it.
Now, you heard Patty mention it there, coming up in Know My Neighborhood. We're going to take a closer look at all that space that used to be Rackspace.
Yeah, it's the old Windsor Park Mall. A lot of people in San Antonio drive by that. It could use some help, and the city is trying to get it after Rackspace left that location a few years ago. We take a look at the future plans for this location when Know My Neighborhood returns.
back to Know My Neighborhood. We're in the city of Windcrest, and one of the things you want to know about a city, what's important to Windcrest, you see all those lights behind us? There are also hundreds of ornaments to the beloved pets of Windcrest that adorn this tree that you can't pick up at night.
And this is a town that wants to support each other. They sent in their pets. They said, hey, this is my pet's face. I want it on an ornament. The city put it up there. And
That's
this
right.
is far from the only Christmas tree in this town, by the way.
No, it's not. And actually, if some people in this small town in suburban San Antonio have their way, the future of business in Windcrest will be just as bright as some of these Christmas trees.
And you know, there are some challenges when it comes to that right now, though. There's a big void thanks to the departure of rack space in the old Windsor Park Mall. And then there's some big construction along I-35. Katrina Weber talks to some locals and some business owners about how they're making the best of all of this.
From the crispy fried chicken to the seasoned collard greens, Mama Lou's has just what soul food lovers want. The trip to the local business near Walsen Road and I-35, though, can be tough to swallow these days.
As soon as I pull out of Walsen Road, you can just look at the top of it and see cars back to back.
Owner Tasha Willis says the nearby highway often looks more like a parking lot due to major construction work. The expansion of I-35 and its connectors not set for completion until 2027.
People are less likely to pull off the road and spend a couple of minutes and then trying to get back in that traffic.
She says the road work is part of a double whammy that's hit since she opened her doors in Windcrest 4 years ago. Willis chose the city for its business-friendly atmosphere. Originally, she was directly across from Rackspace's headquarters, offering drive-through lunch service for its staff. But when the technology company moved out in 2022, it took away a big part of her customer base and the city's tax base.
So what we're in the middle of right now is that transition. Rackspace was a great community partner.
Jennifer Newman is president of Windcrest Economic Development Corporation, which scrambled to find a new owner for the supersized space. Before Rackspace moved in, it was Windsor Park Mall. Now it's set to house the Windcrest International Business Park.
A facility of 650,000 square feet on the ground floor, very versatile, that has been incentivized.
Both the city and EDC are doing all they can to fill up all that space, to put the business in that business center. But that is still a work in progress.
We would love to tell you that we know exactly what businesses are going to be enticed to come to that space.
We've seen distribution with headquarters and operations. We've seen them manufacturing.
For Tasha Willis, it doesn't matter who moves in, just as long as someone does.
I mean, any little business that come over there at this point will help the economy.
I agree with Natasha. It doesn't matter, just so somebody gets in that space. Katrina Weber joining us now. Great story, Katrina. We know 35 is going to be an issue for at least a couple more years. When do they expect this business center to be open?
That is the multi-million-dollar question, and right now, no hard dates as far as I can find out. Now, I was told that space itself is still a work in progress. They're still trying to renovate the business center itself. And then there's the question of who will fill the space, and that, right now, no answers. So, as they say on TV, stay tuned.
Yeah, and the funny thing, having been in the old rack space when it was at its height, it was really cool. I mean, it had like slides and all kinds of stuff in there.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what it looks like now.
Well, I didn't get a chance to go inside, and I will be very anxious to see once they get done with the renovations.
Yes.
Answer the question, will the slide stay?
Will the slide still be
We
there?
got to know. Katrina, thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, Katrina.
You know, one thing we learned about this neighborhood, when there's a need here, people step up for each other. That is one of the first things that we heard when we talked to neighbors to begin this episode. We're going to talk about all the groups that help make that happen around here coming up next.
But first, let's check TransGuide right now. I want to show you a traffic camera out by that accident off the I-10 access road in the Leon Springs area. This is at the actually Fair Oaks Ranch Ralph Fair Road exit, and you can see it's really backed up in both directions. Again, to update that, there was an accident outside of a Montessori school in the Leon Springs area. One person, a woman, killed, at least 5 young children injured. That's the very latest from Sheriff Javier Salazar. We continue to monitor it as we continue this Know My Neighborhood episode. We'll be right back. We're good, thank you. Yeah.
We've just been talking to some neighbors who've pulled up alongside us here. The city of Windcrest is a town that is closely knit. That's how neighbors talk about where they live.
Yeah, it's easy to see that coming together during Christmas time, but our Avery effort shows that is something that happens in this community year-round.
What makes Windcrest so special?
Oh, the people.
They weren't able to put up their Christmas lights and they really wanted them up. So we just got on like a little ladder and we were just able to put it up there.
A simple effort to make the community feel more whole. That's Anita Luna-Kolk's mission.
We do this because we want to.
She leads the Windcrest Volunteers. This team will try to take on just about any project where someone in the neighborhood needs a little help.
We're ready. So this is the way to see Windcrest then, right?
Oh, yeah.
We stopped by one of their past projects.
She was getting city citations, so we cut it. Needs cut again.
So what are the tasks these neighbors take on? Well, every day is different, from building community bookcases to towing and mowing the town's Little League field after the team's maintenance gator was stolen.
Anytime I can help somebody, it really makes me feel good just to be able to help. So
I've heard these stories about Windcrest just being this small town that leans on itself. You see it too?
Oh yeah.
Who said we need help with this field?
No one. I came down here and saw them. I drive my golf cart around a lot and I saw them struggling with it.
A small project making a big difference. Now they just need more people.
If we have more people, you know, we can probably do more.
But they're far from the only neighborhood group getting involved.
We have parades, we have the firefighters picnic, and we have the chili dinner.
Marlene Pappin helps to lead the Lions Club, the Gardens Club, the Women's Club, and even the Roosevelt Leo Club.
You're a woman of many clubs.
I am, as a matter of fact.
She says this is a community connected, even as it changes.
But I still think it has that hometown charm.
How do you get younger families to participate in the neighborhood?
It's difficult. We try to have something for the kids to do.
That's an easy ask during the holiday season, but neighbors want to make it a reality all year long.
It's still a community, and it's very close-knit.
Here is the small city of lights, and it's one with a big community behind it. Avery Everett, KSAT 12 News.
You know, Avery actually did a story last month with the Windcrest Little League when their maintenance gator was stolen. And the team told us that a neighbor came out, saw what was going on, used his own tools to get the field in top shape.
Yeah, it turns out that neighbor was actually Kevin Compton, who we just talked to in that story. He says, didn't even think twice about it.
Gotta love that.
I love that, just helping out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
All right, out and about tonight, Adam Caskey. It's always a season for thermometers for him, but this is a special one. It is Thermometer Thursday, and it's all about the ornaments this time of year. Hey, Adam.
All about the ornaments this time of year. 100% handmade, and we have all these friendly people driving by us. We've moved over to Moorside and particularly the cul-de-sac here. And one thing I want to point out, you may be able to weave your way through the trees here, through the cars to see the trees. Notice the blue. You're going to see a lot of blue in Windcrest this year because it is their sapphire anniversary of being a city, 65 years. So you do see a lot of blue. We're going to dive into the forecast and the changes that are coming for Christmas in just a bit.
They start before Halloween.
Oh gosh.
Bright lights, small city.
Yeah, there's a whole lot to talk about when it comes to Windcrest. A lot of cars going by us here. We've been waving at neighbors, some of them coming up and saying hello. There are so many people who come see the lights of Windcrest this time of year.
Yeah, yelling Merry Christmas, saying hi. But I actually saw a Dalmatian.
Oh, that was cool.
I saw little kids, all this, and that's in the Adam Caskey area. I'm sure a lot of interaction happening over there, Adam.
Oh, always interaction. That's what I love about it. Everybody's in a good mood, even though, you're going slow in traffic and you have to actually get to the other side of town. Everybody's still in a good mood. Moorside, this cul-de-sac is great. And one thing that catches my attention, being the new arborist I am with my harness and rope kit, these oak trees are unreal. I am just itching to get up in those. So nicely trimmed. Imagine wrapping those, but no need to wrap them right now. Check out the Sardelli's house. This is one of a kind, and I love their Christmas mariachis over there. All right, we have to do a little bit of weather too. Well, we can keep seeing the lights, so they're beautiful. I love you too. Merry Christmas. Dew points right now, down in the lower 40s. That's why it feels crisp. It's going to be that way for a few more days, but early next week, the humidity returns. It even starts to creep up a little bit on Sunday, and you'll feel the mugginess again Monday, Christmas Eve, and then Christmas Day, we should sweep it away. Tomorrow morning, we start the day in the low to mid 40s for those morning temperatures. So sweatshirt in the morning, but by noon, we're at 63, 68 the high, more of the same. You can be in short sleeves by the afternoon, just well into the 60s, even brushing 70 farther west of San Antonio. 60s for highs through the weekend, then next week we're back into the 70s, and that includes Christmas Day with high temperatures back in the 70s at that point, and probably lower 70s for Christmas Day, so nothing too outrageous and nothing that's significantly above average for this time of year, but it is a little above average for Christmas time. And also rain chances. Tuesday, Christmas Eve, a weak cool front moves in. That cool front could kickstart a few showers, maybe a brief thunderstorm later in the day on Christmas Eve and even into the night of Christmas Eve, and then early Christmas morning, some lingering clouds, maybe a lingering sprinkle. That's about it. More importantly, it is the season of giving. And you know what day it is? Oh yeah, Therm Thurs, baby! Happy Thermometer Thursday. And honestly, as luck would have it, Mr. Reese, the mayor of Windcrest, this was his house we were showing earlier.
It was, yes.
So how long does it take the whole street to get prepared for this?
Well, probably about a month, although our neighbors, as you pointed out, they probably start before Halloween.
Oh
so
my goodness.
They go a lot longer. In fact, they not only go before, they actually help the whole cul-de-sac get ready for it. All of the mailboxes here were actually done by our neighbors. So
that's
they
wonderful.
Helped a great deal, yes.
And a lot of blue for the Sapphire anniversary.
A lot of blue for the yes.
And from us to you and the city of Windcrest, you got to have a thermometer ornament.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And thanks for your team for coming out here.
Hey,
we
our
very much
pleasure.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for having us. From Moorside, the cul-de-sac, you got to hit it up, check it out. It's worth it. It's right off Walsen too. It's really quick to get in here, and you could sneak right in and sneak right out. Anyway, back to y'all on the other side of town.
Yeah, I like that the president has a White House and the mayor of Windcrest has a blue house. So it all makes sense.
And neighbors there starting before Halloween.
Before Halloween they start.
I want to know where everyone stores everything. If someone could just let me know where you put all the Christmas decorations. That's my big question.
Yeah. We need to get to the bottom of that.
Inquiring minds.
Yeah. We'll be right back. Welcome back live to Windcrest. They call themselves the City of Lights, and yes, that is Duck Norris.
That's right.
Duck Norris in the front yard right across from where we are live, and he is there year-round, but I do have to say Duck looks especially good around Christmas time.
Duck Norris, a permanent fixture in this neighborhood. Look at all the things we're getting to know here.
As he should be. Yeah. Did you wonder what that large duck was in Windcrest? We get to the bottom of that story here on Know My Neighborhood.
It is wild to believe that this has been another year of Know My Neighborhood episodes. We have been all around San Antonio, and now we have been in a completely different city.
Yes.
And we want to know where we should head in 2025. You can check out everything that we have done in Know My Neighborhood this year by scanning this QR code. Also, let us know where we should go next.
Yeah, because we want to go where we're welcome. We want to go where people want to share their stories with us. The good, the bad, the frustrating. It is grassroots journalism. It's what we do in Know My Neighborhood. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Know My Neighborhood live from Windcrest.
We'll be right back.
We've continued to follow the breaking news out of the Leon Springs area as we've been doing this show live here from Windcrest. And frankly, our thoughts are with the families in the Leon Springs area after that horrific, deadly crash outside of Montessori School there.
Yeah, this has been heartbreaking news we've been following for the last hour or so. Our John Paul Barajas now at that scene, at that Montessori School. John Paul, we heard from the Bexar County Sheriff giving some details about what led to this crash, what happened out there. What are you seeing at this point?
Steve, Myra, well, what we know right now is that a teacher or a faculty member here at this Montessori school, Excelled Montessori Plus school, she's in her 20s or he's in his 20s, and they have died at the scene, and that 5 children were transported to the hospital with their conditions unknown, but at last check they were all still alive after being pinned under a car. The Bexar County Sheriff told us that there was a holiday performance here with the students performing. Parents were picking up their students. One parent picked up their child, and it's believed that parent then suffered some sort of medical episode, accelerated into a second car, and then was pushed forward and then pinned those students underneath their car. Again, a faculty member in their 20s has died. 5 children were transported at last check, still alive, but their conditions unknown at this time. There is still a very active scene behind me. It's hard to see at this level and viewpoint. Lots of officers and BCSO deputies. We have seen that parents are still allowed to pick up their students, and they have been doing that over the last 30, 40 minutes or so, but they do have the entrance just up this entrance ramp still blocked off. Matt, I think there might be another parent here pulling up in that white vehicle. So still lots of activity going on. As for the traffic off of I-10, we're off I-10 near the Fair Oaks Parkway intersection. The frontage road here on I-10 has since opened up, so there is a lot more traffic moving. Prior, there was a lot of traffic buildup. I was on set at 5 o'clock on the desk, and it took me about an hour, 45 minutes just to get from downtown out to this location. So still lots of information to be developed. We do know that that person is a parent who accelerated into another car, is believed to have a medical episode. The Bexar County Sheriff did say at this time, no drugs, no alcohol, and as you guys have mentioned, our thoughts and our prayers are with everyone involved. As soon as we learn more, we'll bring that to you. Steve, Myra?
Yeah, just a heartbreaking incident out there, a medical episode leading to a deadly chain reaction. We looked at TransGuide earlier, that backup that John Paul was talking about. TxDOT said that the eastbound frontage road was blocked at Fair Oaks Parkway. This is located, this scene, just south of that right now.
And of course, a lot could change between now and 10 o'clock. Our John Paul Barajas will be out there getting reaction to this deadly crash. But for now, we're going to wrap it up here from Windcrest. Thank you very much for joining us. And of course, we'll have the very latest coming up tonight at 10 on the Night Beat. Good night.